CLNS Media Patriots Roundtable. I'm your host, Nick Qualley, sitting here with Marvin Zahn and with Mike Molyneux. Guys, there is somebody on this offense, and this is a question that actually popped into my head today when we were going back and forth talking about topics that we could go over today. And this guy popped into my head because I think he's a sneaky catalyst to the success of this Patriots team this year. Potentially. Mohamed Sanu. My question is he the most important Patriots receiver as we head into the 2020 season? You look at the depth chart. You got Jules, N'Keal Harry, Jakobi Meyers. You've got Gunner, and you've got Mohamed Sanu. You thought you had Marquise Lee. That guy decided to leave because of COVID, which, no problem with that. You decide that you don't want to play because of COVID. Totally cool. Totally fine. But question, is Mohamed Sanu the most important Patriots receiver of the 2020 season for the Patriots' 2020 success? Mike, let's start with you. What do you think?
Is he the most important receiver? I wouldn't say he's the most important receiver, but his role on this team is going to be huge. Obviously, for the most part, things are going to go through Julian Edelman leading the way. Would
you say Jules is the most important?
Edelman, most important. He's the guy that's been around for the longest time when you're looking at the offensive players, and his production, his resume speaks for itself. Obviously, has he lost a little bit of a step? Yes, but I still believe Julian Edelman can be a guy that can produce solid numbers within this offense, an offense that he knows very well. But Sanu, I think for sure, if you're always looking at a team, they always have that number one guy, but who's that second guy to step up and be a huge, somewhat of an X factor? That is Sanu. Obviously, you got N'Keal Harry right behind him, chomping at the bit to get an opportunity. This is a guy who the Patriots believe in, the reason why they took him so early in the draft a few years ago. But Sanu, being a veteran player, a guy who's coming back from an injury-riddled season, and you saw from that little workout video that he had with Cam Newton and the way he was talking, moving, he seems like he has a chip on his shoulder because he has a lot to prove. Has he been a star, all-pro receiver during his career? Obviously not. But the Patriots traded for him for a reason. Whether we wanted the Patriots to go after Emmanuel Sanders or somebody else last year, the fact of the matter is they went and got Sanu. So he needs to show why this team got him. And it seems like he has a little bit of a chemistry already with Cam Newton. He needs to show up and be big time for this offense. Obviously, you got guys under him, like I said, N'Keal Harry, Jakobi Meyers, whatever other receivers they have there trying to battle and make their way. Those guys are trying to come up the ranks as well. But for this team to be successful, in my opinion, for this upcoming season, I would love to see a solid combination of Julian Edelman, Mohamed Sanu, and obviously I think N'Keal Harry will be in the mix as well. But Sanu and Edelman are the two guys that are going to lead the way.
Patriots fans are a what have you done lately type of crowd, especially when a guy comes in last year. Because, like Mike, you're right. Sanu came in last year and wasn't that great once he got here. And the Patriots, if they needed one thing, they had to go out and they had to get a guy who's going to help this receiving core, because it was after that amazing picture of Edelman, Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, it looked like an awesome receiving core. Then all of a sudden it fell apart. It fell into absolute shambles. You bring in Sanu over a guy like Emmanuel Sanders, and people have high hopes. People have high needs for this guy to produce, and he really didn't. And that pissed off a lot of Patriots fans. Guys, a lot of Patriots fans apparently didn't pay attention to Sanu when, he wasn't a Julio Jones type, not even close to that. But one thing, people think this guy can't catch because he had a tough time last year. That was his main thing coming in. That was probably his highest point coming into the Patriots last year, was this guy catches everything that's thrown to him. He does not drop balls. That wasn't the case when he got here again, but that was his thing coming here. So hopefully we can see that this year. Marv, let's jump to you. What do you think? Is Mohamed Sanu the most important Patriots receiver heading into the 2020 season?
I think he is, especially if Cam Newton is the quarterback for this team. You're talking about Sanu, who's the best route runner on the team by far right now. Julian Edelman, we know what he can do as a slot receiver. But Cam Newton's not the person who's just going to drop back in 2 seconds, get rid of the ball like Tom Brady. And that's why him and Edelman, him and Welker were just match made in heaven, because you got a guy who can release quickly and get the ball quick. So no, guys like N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers, these are going to be receivers that rely on their route running. And Sanu's a receiver who plays in the slot and plays in the outside, like we were speaking on the other shows earlier. He can play the X or he can play the Z. And that's something that N'Keal's skill set is, something Jacoby's skill set is. These are going to be receivers looking up to Mohamed Sanu and watching how he works and his work ethic and how he plays. And then you bring up another guy who has great hands. I understand last year wasn't the best year, but New England Patriot fans are acting like injuries don't happen. The guy was hurt. He had an injury, and he played through it. The season was a wash. You bring in a guy who has excellent hands. Julian Edelman is great, but we all seen, I think he led the league in drops last year. His hands aren't there no more, and that's okay. He's getting older. Super Bowl MVP. We know what he can bring to the table. He'll still be clutch, but I think Mohamed Sanu might be the X factor, like Mike was saying, and sneakily be the number one receiver on this team due to the fact that he is versatile and he can play both roles in the wide receiver slot and of his route running, and the other fact that he's going to be able to mentor receivers like a N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers, because they play similar roles to what Mohamed Sanu does.
Yeah, and look, whether or not you think that he's going to be a number one receiver, that's kind of a different story, because I think he is the most important. Marv, I'm with you. I think he is the most important receiver here, because we know what Julian Edelman is. But behind him, there's a ton of question marks. And the most proven guy in the room at that point, once you get down behind Julian Edelman, is Mohamed Sanu. You know that he can produce. And if he can fit into this offense well, and if he can be a step above what he was last year, which, again, wasn't that good, if he can just be a solid, productive, that's the word I was looking for, productive wide receiver, then that is key for this Patriots offense, because if he's not, guys, this offense is in trouble. This offense, especially with a potential rookie quarterback or a new guy who just walked into the Patriots locker room in Cam Newton, Mohamed Sanu has to produce, because, again, if he doesn't, what's behind him? Who else can fill that role? N'Keal Harry? We have no idea. People are talking up N'Keal Harry like this guy has already proven something this year. He had a bad year last year. People were against him. Now, people are talking like N'Keal Harry's already proven something. This guy has not shown us anything. I have a lot of high hopes for N'Keal Harry. I think N'Keal Harry can and probably will be a very good wide receiver, but he hasn't proven to anything yet. So to me, at least, he's still a giant question mark. And same thing with Jacoby Myers. The guy was undrafted. He was great last year in the preseason. Everybody's like, oh, wow, look at this guy. Well, he didn't do anything for the most part in the regular season.
And hype is out the window now for him.
Right. There are so many questions behind Mohamed Sanu, to the point where if he does not produce, guys, this offense, at least in the passing game, is in trouble. It is not going to be a good look if he does not produce. And plus, again, your number one guy is Julian Edelman. He's old. He is getting old. So you need Sanu to step up big time this year if you're going to have a successful 2020 season, at least on the offensive side of the ball. All right, guys. That was the CLNS Media Patriots Roundtable. Nick Quaglia, Marv Azan, Mike Molyneux. We're going to be back next week. Guys, follow us all on Twitter. Garrett's getting the graphic up, I'm assuming, right now. Again, we're going to be back next week. And you guys can always catch the show, too, audio version if you're on the go, on iTunes, underneath the CLNS Media Patriots Postgame Show tab on iTunes. Again, Nick Quaglia, Marv Azan, Mike Molyneux. Guys, we're going to be back next week with another set of episodes. We'll talk to you then. Thanks for watching.